Hello everyone, my name is Jyoti. In this session, we are going to talk about AFSPA. We will study everything about AFSPA, how it came into being, its history, its functionality, and the current situation about AFSPA. But before starting the discussion, I request you to clear all the stereotypes and perceptions that you have in your mind about AFSPA. Because if you truly want to understand the AFSPA, then you have to clear out all those pre-made perceptions so that you could get a clear understanding about it, and we will see both the aspects from positive as well as negative aspect, and we will try to understand everything about AFSPA. So without wasting time, let's begin with our discussion. So starting with what AFSPA actually is. So AFSPA stands for Armed Forces Special Powers Act, and basically it is an act of Parliament of India passed in 1958 that grants special powers to the Indian Armed Forces to maintain public order in disturbed areas. Now, when we study this definition, we come to know about two keywords, which are public order and disturbed areas. So basically, when we are talking about public order, it refers to the internal aggressions that occur within the country. Here we are not talking about any external aggression, we are talking about the internal conflicts that occur within the country among various religious groups, ethnic groups, or people with different languages, different castes and creeds. So we are talking about those disturbances. And the another key term here is disturbed areas. So now we need to understand what is disturbed areas. So basically the government, which is either the state or the central government, considers those areas to be disturbed by reason of difference or dispute between members of different religious, racial, language or regional groups or castes or communities. So here, as we can see from the definition, that we are dealing with the people of our own country with different backgrounds, and according to the Disturbed Areas Special Court Act of 1976, once declared disturbed, the area has to maintain a status quo for a minimum of 3 months. And if we talk about the disturbed areas, so this area could be a state or a district in a state or a part of that district, a small area, it could be village. So it could be any area, it doesn't depend on the size, that could be declared as disturbed areas. And once the area has been declared as disturbed areas, it is reviewed after every 6 months. That is, the government reviews after every 6 months whether the situations in that area have improved or not. If it feels that the situation has not improved, then it again implements the AFSPA in that area for next 6 months. But AFSPA cannot be implemented for 1 year or more, that is more than 6 months continuously. Review has to be done by the government to look into the situation. Next, we have to talk about that how to declare a disturbed area and who is the authority who can declare the area to be a disturbed area. So section 3 of the AFSPA Act empowers the governor of the state or union territory to issue an official notification on the Gazette of India, following which the center has the authority to send in armed forces for civilian aid. So basically it's the governor and the central government who is the supreme authority to decide whether the area is a disturbed area or not. If we talk about the role of the state government can suggest or assist the governor in deciding, can give suggestion if the area is a disturbed area or not, but the ultimate decision is in the hands of the governor and the central government, and they are the only authority who can decide whether the area is a disturbed area or not. Now let's see the history of AFSPA, of how it actually came into being and from when it is being used in India. So AFSPA was first enacted as an ordinance in the backdrop of Quit India movement launched by Mahatma Gandhi in 1942. So AFSPA is basically a colonial factor, we can say, because it was brought about by the Britishers to curb these protesters of the Quit India movement, because after some time this movement actually started to become violent and people were against the police forces. So this as the movement became violent, so Britishers brought about AFSPA to curb the rebellion, and after independence the act came into force in the context of increasing violence in the northeastern states, which the state government found difficult to control. Now, it's a well known fact that most of the states in northeast are having one or more than one insurgent group operating there. And since independence, that is when we got independence in 1947, from that period itself the insurgency started, and Nagaland was the first state to see such insurgencies. So basically these Naga tribe, they didn't wanted to be a part of India, they wanted their separate country known as Nagalim. So they put on this request, and when it was not accepted by the government, they started insurgencies, and these were very violent. So not only Nagaland, subsequently after the next decade, many states of northeast have seen such insurgencies, and so this act was later expanded to all the seven sisters of northeast. And the Armed Forces Special Powers Bill was passed by both the houses of parliament, and it was approved by the president on September 11, 1958, and it became to be known as Armed Forces Special Powers Act of 1958. So this was the history of AFSPA. Now comes the question that when is AFSPA implemented? That is, under what conditions, circumstances or situations is it required to implement AFSPA in a particular region? So basically there are three situations under which AFSPA is implemented in a particular area. First is the failure of the administration and the local police to tackle local issues. Second is instability in the state is too large for local forces to handle. And the third is when the government fails to control the situation. So basically what these 3 points suggest is AFSPA is implemented when the administration of that area or the local police is unable to control these people, these issues, and it is out of the control of these police forces. Only then the special forces, that is the defense forces, are given the power through AFSPA to bring the situation under control in these disturbed areas. Now, as we have mentioned that special powers are provided to the defense forces under AFSPA, now we have to discuss that what exactly are these special powers that we are talking about. So here is a list of these powers. Let's go through them one by one. So first is that after giving such due warning, fire upon or use other kinds of force, even if it causes death against the person who is acting against the law or order in disturbed areas. Second, destroy the armed dumps, hideouts, prepared or fortified positions or shelter or training camps. Third, to arrest without a warrant anyone who has committed cognizable offences or is reasonably suspected of having done so. Fourth is to enter and search any premise in order to make such arrests, to recover any person, any arms, ammunition, explosive substances, etc. Fifth one is stop and search any vehicle or vessel reasonably suspected to be carrying such weapons or person. And the last one and the most important provision under AFSPA is army officers have legal immunity for their actions. There can be no prosecution, suit or any legal proceedings against anyone acting under the law. So basically, if any officer kills someone or conducts any of these activities which are listed in this list, then he cannot be prosecuted in any court because he is provided the legal immunity from the Government of India under the Act of AFSPA. Now, there is a question that what is the need of AFSPA, why it is actually required. So from independence, there have been many instances where government has required AFSPA to bring the situation under control, and let's summarize those situations. So Government of India promulgated 4 ordinances in 1947 to deal with internal security issues arising due to partition in Bengal, Assam, East Bengal, that is Bangladesh, and United Provinces. So what here we are trying to convey is, during the independence, when India and Pakistan were partitioned, at the time there was a huge violence, and so this AFSPA was enacted in these 4 regions: Bengal, Assam, East Bengal, which is nowadays Bangladesh, and United Provinces, which is Uttar Pradesh. So 4 ordinances were promulgated and they were applied in these 4 regions to control the violence. Then insurgency in northeastern states, Assam and Manipur. Now we know that insurgencies are very common in northeastern states, and if not controlled, they could lead to the lot of violence in these states. So basically this was very important to implement AFSPA in these states to bring the situation under control. And firstly it was implemented in Assam, Manipur and Nagaland, and later it was then extended to all the 7 sisters of Northeast. Then it was extended to Punjab and Chandigarh during the Khalistan movement, individually in Punjab and Chandigarh because Chandigarh is a union territory and capital of 2 states, and then it was withdrawn in 1997. Then Jammu and Kashmir, if we talk about, then there have been many instances and many number of times AFSPA has been implemented in Jammu and Kashmir, and it started from the 1990s. Now in this picture we can see the cross marks indicate the most violence prone area where we see AFSPA implemented a number of times. Now AFSPA is also known as a necessary evil. Necessary evil because it is very important to maintain the territorial integrity of the country, because if AFSPA would have not been there, then these northeastern states, because they were demanding their separate country, like Bodo land, Kuki land, Nagaland, so they were demanding their separate country. So if this AFSPA was not there, then we would not not have seen India in the form that we see it today. These states would have got their separate administration, separate country would have been formed, and they would not be the part of India as we see them today. So that's why AFSPA is also known as a very necessary evil. Now if we talk about arguments for AFSPA, that why AFSPA is important, so it's the army is opposed to the withdrawal of AFSPA because they argue that removal of the act will lead to demoralizing the armed forces and see militants motivating locals to file lawsuits against the army. So we know that army is provided a free hand and legal immunity under AFSPA. If this provision will be removed, then the armed forces will not be able to operate with full power and with that confidence, and thus it would be very difficult to control the situations in these states when we talk about the northeastern states and the insurgent groups that are operating there. So for the situation to remain under the control of government, it's very important that AFSPA be there and it should not be removed. This is the argument that is put forward by the defense and the military forces. Now, demerits of AFSPA are also there because people of northeastern states especially have protested against AFSPA, and this has been in news many a number of times. So basically what is the reason behind opposition of AFSPA is that it violates the constitutional rights or fundamental rights that are mentioned in the Indian constitutions, and here is a list of some of them, like section 4A, in which army can shoot to kill, violate article 21 which gives right to life. Then section 4B, searches without warrant, violates the right to liberty and article 22. Dispersion of civil assembly by armed forces violates the right to assembly. And the fourth one is no judicial permission required while arresting. It violates Article 22. Now here I have put some pictures where people are protesting against AFSPA, and also on the right you can see the picture of Irom Sharmila. She is known as the Iron Woman from Manipur. Now it's a question that why is AFSPA unethical? So previously I have talked about Irom Chanu Sharmila. She was the woman who fasted for 16 years to repeal AFSPA. Later she also fought elections. She formed her own political party in Manipur. Then it has been reported that under AFSPA many fake encounters have been taken place. More than 1527 people were killed in fake encounters in Manipur itself. So mass killing of innocent people has taken place by these people of armed forces, and also there have been incidences of rapes and rapes of women, and such incidences have came up. And also the most important thing to think about here is that the type of training and weapons that armed forces have, they are meant to deal with external aggressions. And when we use these forces to deal with the people of our own country, it's a great violence of human rights, because these forces, they do not have such empathy, and when we expect them to deal with empathy in these areas with these people, it is not possible. Police forces are something which are trained and meant to control the situation within the country, but armed forces are not the correct team which we should approach when we deal with the people, our own citizens. Because if we talk about the northeastern states, what these people actually want, what is the reason for most of the insurgencies, is that they are afraid of the illegal migrants that come there from Myanmar or Bangladesh. So they are afraid that their cultural identity can be lost, and also the resources of these states will be consumed by these foreigners people, and that's why they want to conserve their own identity, their unique cultural identity, and that is the reason for their protest, and which is not a very big deal. It's very common because these tribal people are known as the original inhabitants of the country, and they want to preserve their culture, and that's why they are demanding for a separate state. So we need to first understand their demands, what they want, their problems. Only then the solution can be achieved. The forceful implementation of AFSPA is a short-term solution. It's not a permanent solution. To achieve the permanent solution, we can take the example of Tripura and Mizoram, because these states, rather than using AFSPA, what they did was they tried to find out the solution to the problems that these people faced, and they worked with the people, and thus they were able to remove AFSPA permanently from these states. So these examples could be used as a lesson by the governments of other northeastern states where AFSPA is still into being, and they should use this example to find out the problems and resolve it from the root. The root cause should be removed rather than forcing the people or having violence against these people through AFSPA. So that was all about AFSPA. We discussed everything, the features, the history, why it is ethical or unethical, everything. If you have any doubts regarding AFSPA, please mention in the comment section. Also, if you want us to make any video on any other topic, do mention in the comment section. And that is it for this video. Thanks for being patient.